Well, I guess WWE decided they wanted to jump the shark yesterday with their Retribution story angle. Now, in case you guys took a summer break off from WWE and wrestling as a whole and wondering who Retribution is, let me give you the quick rundown as far as I know. You see, Retribution originally debuted in the summer of this year, about a month or two ago, and they've been causing nothing but disruption and chaos across the WWE. Now, originally they were doing it on both Raw and Smackdown, but in my opinion, what happened is Fox probably noticed the similarities to a certain terrorist group, that's been causing chaos and destruction across the country during this pandemic and this election year, that being AFITA. And basically, I think what Fox did is they contacted WWE and they said, no, we don't want this group showing up on Smackdown. They're too reminiscing of this terrorist group that's already, actually out there causing trouble. Can you please remove them? And my speculation is WWE said, okay, we'll take them away from Smackdown and we'll put them primarily on Raw, which of course is where they originated from. Now, long story short, over the past couple of weeks, Retribution has been doing promos a la Shield style from the basement or the catacombs of the Amway Center. And then last night, they made, I guess you could say, their in-ring debut and acknowledged that WWE had signed them to contracts. Now, part of that promo was they said that it doesn't matter if they signed the contracts or not, it still doesn't change a thing, and that the goal still remains the same, and that is to destroy WWE from within and rebuild it in a way that it needs to be rebuilt. Now, a lot of people, when they saw this promo, they heard what occurred, a lot of people were not too happy. A lot of fans were not too thrilled. Because basically, as I mentioned at the beginning, WWE had essentially just jumped the shark. They had jumped the shark, if you will, on the entire Retribution story angle. Because not only did they sign them to contracts, which doesn't, from a storyline perspective, doesn't make any sense. Because why would you sign an organization, a faction, a group that's causing nothing but chaos and disruption and is trying to destroy your company from within and rebuild it in their image, or in an image they feel is the right image? Why would you sign them to contracts? More importantly, why would you sign them to contracts anyway if you pretty much know that they're already contracted WWE superstars who are basically NXT talented, superstars, men and women, that is. Why would you do that? It frustrated a lot of folks that saw this last night on Raw. And I can't disagree with it, because what sense does it really make? And not just that, but what I saw on YouTube, the various clips and everything through YouTube and Twitter and all the other social media sites, pretty much you can already tell who Retribution is. And what's insulting about that, in my opinion, and I know others would agree with this, is the commentators didn't even acknowledge that at least two of the members, the two female members, are Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez. I mean, it's clear as day and night who the women members are, and yet the commentators, Todd Phillips and Byron Saxton, who have worked NXT as of late, are not acknowledging, hey, that's Mia Yim, hey, that's Mercedes Martinez. What are they doing as a part of this group? They're acting like they don't know who they are. And then on top of that, you could tell who some of the male members are. You could tell, the tall one is Divakovic. You could tell the second biggest one is Dio Madden. You could tell the one behind the hockey mask, if you will, is Shane Thorne. It's like, how stupid do you think we really are? It's like, how unintentional do you think we really are that we can't see who these people are? Or we can't even acknowledge or hear that you are not acknowledging who they are. Now, what's even crazier about this? What's even crazier about this is WWE is still trying to throw confusion at us, because even though we see who the figureheads are, they still are insisting in showing at the beginning and at the end of Raw last night that Retribution is more than just these figureheads. It's a bunch of other people. And you know what will be really insulting, folks, in the end? You know what will be really insulting in the end? And I just thought about this. Is if this turns out to be nothing more than the beginning of an NXT invasion thing to lead us into Survivor Series for the NXT versus Raw versus Smackdown deal. You know, because if this is a way to begin it, then it's a dumb way. It is a stupid way to do it. But hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully that's not the case. Maybe there's more to it, but then again, as some people put it, that's giving WWE too much credit. But yeah, like I said, that's another thing that's kind of insulting, that WWE is still trying to make us confused about who Retribution really is, or who really is the leaders or the figureheads of Retribution, even though we could see it as clear as day who they are. And again, like I said, what really is insulting in my opinion is you don't even have the commentators acknowledge two of the members as being Mia and Mercedes. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. And you know what? You know what's really frustrating? Is during their first official match last night, which was a 6-man tag against the Hurt Business. You know what's really insulting? The fact that they gave them these generic early to mid 90s, late 80s wrestling names, or in-ring names for the time being. Davakovic is T-Bar, Dio Madden is Mace, Shane Thorne is Slapjack. And it's like, are you serious? Are you serious? You're gonna go with those names? Now, my theory, my speculation is hopefully that's all they are, is, you know, that hopefully, what I'm trying to say is that hopefully these names are nothing more than temporary, because if they're permanent, then that shows exactly how Vince McMahon feels, according to someone like Alex Hicks, known as Just Alex, formerly Deluxe Man. That shows how much Vince McMahon cares about NXT. He doesn't. If he's going to give people that we already know who they are different generic late 80s to mid 90s names, it just shows you how much he doesn't care about that brand and how much he has a disdain for it. But you know what's even crazier, folks? You know what's even crazier? According to WrestleVotes.com, who is a very reliable source according to many, according to WrestleVotes, a source in WWE that's close to WrestleVotes, and WrestleVotes is close to them, according to the source, Retribution became nothing more than a laughingstock backstage. Yeah. A lot of the superstars and personnel backstage were laughing at how ridiculous Retribution was. Not just maybe the group itself and the new Bane cosplay-like look, but also the fact that the storyline is going completely, down the toilet. That's how, because of how ridiculous it is, how much, they've jumped the shark with it kind of deal. And when you have a source within WWE telling someone at WrestleVotes or any other wrestling news site that they might be connected to, what the reaction was backstage or within WWE, and it turns out that Retribution is nothing more than a laughingstock to a lot of people, that's all you need to know, honestly, in my opinion, to see exactly how serious WWE is taking this group. And when I hear that a group that's supposed to be taken seriously is turning out to be nothing but a laughingstock and a joke backstage, then that tells me something else. And I was thinking about this, and maybe I'm wrong, but hopefully I am, but it almost feels like to me that Retribution is Vince McMahon and the WWE's way of taking a jab at the fans and the detractors. And what I mean is, some of the things that Mia Yim said in that promo last night pretty much is everything we as fans have said before, and even those that have been released and have gone elsewhere have said before. And that is basically, they've been promised empty promises. They've been told to reach for an imaginary brass ring that isn't there. And these are things that not only talent that has been let go and gone elsewhere has talked about in shoot interviews with RF Video and KC commentaries, or done work shoot, promos on when they debut with another company, stuff like that. But it's also stuff we as fans have talked about. It's stuff that we as fans have brought up. Whether it's myself, whether it's Alex, whether it's the Swag Daddy, Jeff Shiegel, whether it's Jason Solomon, the Solid Monster, Greg Morgan, Good Mike Work, JD from NY206, anybody that talks about wrestling as a part of their YouTube channel or their audio podcast has brought up the fact fact that there is a lot of talent that WWE is misutilizing, not using to the full potential, not giving the ball and the brass ring to, and allowing them to run with it, not giving them the opportunities to shine. You know, those are basically very similar. I mean, all those things that we criticize are very similar to what Mia Yim brought up last night. And it makes me think, after again hearing what WrestleVotes has to say, it makes me think if that's what Retribution really is. Is Retribution nothing more than a jab, a parody of what the fans are like? And it makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder because, you know, here's the thing. I like My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. And there's a lot of people that have watched it a lot longer than I have. And I'm catching up on it as best I can from the earlier seasons to what I've seen recently. But there have been several episodes over the past several seasons where the creators will take a jab at the fan base. One of the biggest and if not controversial episodes they did was Fame and Misfortune, which basically did take a jab at the fans and how they took things a little too seriously when it came to that show, from continuity standpoints, character development, things like that. And it really got a mixed reaction from a lot of people, and it rubbed a lot of people that, you know, helped put that show on the map, you know, became known for doing the reviews and discussions, going to conventions and all that. It rubbed them the wrong way because you're basically taking a jab at them for what they criticize, what they complain about. And I can't help but feel the same thing about Retribution, especially after what WrestleVotes said about everybody in the back at Raw, superstars and personnel, laughing at how ridiculous Retribution is. You know, or they're coming off as. It just makes me wonder if that's what Retribution really is going to be in the end. If that's what we're going to find out in the end, that Retribution is nothing more than a jab at the fans, a jab at the detractors that do all the criticizing and complaining. And if they are, then you know what, WWE? You don't want people like me or Alex or Jeff or Jason or any of them to complain? Then do what we ask you to do. Give someone like Mia Yim a shot. Let her show you what she could do as a talent. Let Asuka go out there and be the Asuka that we know she could be. You know, stuff like that. You know, let Drew McIntyre go out there and be the Drew McIntyre he could be. Stop relying on stars that, even if they could still go, have had their time to shine and should be only there to put over the newer talent. You know, you want us to stop complaining? Then do what you know you have to do to help us stop complaining. Do the right thing. Put the right people over, and that's it. You know, do what we ask you to do, and maybe we won't complain, and maybe you won't have to result in utilizing and creating a group like Retribution to possibly take a jab at us. And if that is the case, ladies and gentlemen, if that is the case, let me tell you what's going to happen. If many people find out that, if many people, you know, start thinking the same way I am, that, you know, Retribution might just be nothing more than a faction that takes a jab, a parody faction that takes a jab at the fans and the detractors and what we complain about. If that's who they are, if that's what they're going to be really revealed to be in the end, then WWE has no idea what they're doing. Vince McMahon has no idea what he's doing, because all they're doing is they're going to be awakening a sleeping giant, unlike the likes they've never seen before. Is what I'm trying to say. Unlike the likes of which they've never seen before. That's what I'm trying to say. They're going to awaken a sleeping giant that basically makes all the other sleeping giants that they awoke, from the sleeping giants that supported Daniel Bryan, the sleeping giants that supported CM Punk, the sleeping giants that supported AJ Lee, and stuff like that. You know, it's going to make those sleeping giants pale in comparison, because even though you've been able to knock those sleeping giants down, if Retribution turns out to be nothing more than a jab at the fans, you know, nothing more than a parody, then you're going to awaken a sleeping giant that you're not really going to be able to take down so easily. You're not going to be able to destroy. You're not going to be able to bring down as easily as you may have done to those other ones. Because this one is going to be so hostile, so full of anger, that it's going to take a freaking nuclear bomb to destroy it. That's how dangerous this sleeping giant is going to be if it turns out that Retribution is exactly what I feel it could be. And I'm hopefully I'm wrong about that. Hopefully I'm wrong about that. But I am going to say this. If WWE wants us to take this seriously, they need to hit the reset button on Retribution. They need to hit the soft reboot, the reset, button on Retribution and start from scratch. They need to take a course correction in a different direction with this group. That's what they need to do. Because if they don't, then what I believe this group really is about is going to start being felt by a lot of other people. And if a lot of other fans feel the same way, then again, all WWE is doing is awakening a sleeping giant that they will not be able to put down unless they hit the nuclear bomb button. That's how serious this is to a lot of fans. And I guarantee you this. You think I'm pointing this out and I'm ranting a little bit of, how stupid that could be? Imagine someone like Alex Hicks, just Alex. Imagine someone like Jason Solomon. Imagine someone like a JD from NY206, coming out and saying, and basically ranting on that possibility and calling WWE out for the petty. I mean, a lot of people say that they're being petty for putting Lana through a table twice by Nia Jax 2 weeks in a row. What, because Miro, Rusev, her husband, now with AEW? It's like, you shouldn't take your anger out on her just because he went somewhere else. Anyway, though, in my opinion, again, they need to get their act together. They need to hit a huge reset button and a huge hard reboot on this entire Retribution faction if they want to salvage it and get it taken seriously like they want it to be. Because if not, and it turns out to be exactly what I believe it could be, nothing more than a parody group, a spoof group that was supposed to take seriously, but in the end they turn out to be nothing more than a faction that's taking a jab at the fans that WWE and Vince McMahon are using to take a jab at the fans and what we complain about. I do not want to be in those shoes, honestly. I do not. Because they're going to awaken, like I said, that sleeping giant that's going to take a nuclear bomb to destroy and take down. That's what's going to happen. I mean, I guarantee you this. A lot of people say that Smackdown's gotten a lot better because obviously the priority for WWE right now, Vince McMahon, is Smackdown on Fox, because now that's their new golden goose. That's their new Raw. That's their new A show. So obviously they're going to treat it better. And you know what? I would not be surprised if Retribution was allowed to be part of SmackDown, that if you compare what's going on with them on Raw, that they would be treated 100 times better. This storyline would be taken 100 times more seriously, and there would be no chance whatsoever that it would have jumped the shark like it did on Raw. That they would have waited. They probably would have taken the outsider, even though it'd be a bit of a rehash, they would have taken, in my opinion, the outsider direction in having someone like, let's say, Daniel Bryan or AJ Styles or Roman Reigns come out and challenge Retribution to a match at maybe at the Clash or maybe at Hell in a Cell, to where if they win, they'll get what they want. If they don't, they leave, they go away, and we never see them again. To me, that would be a better solution, a better route to take. And I believe they would be taking that kind of route if Retribution was on SmackDown, because I know right now, if they were on SmackDown, they'd be taken a lot more seriously than they are now. They wouldn't be treated like a spoof and a jab at the fans. They'd be treated like a real outside threat that's trying to destroy WWE and rebuild it in their image. But because of the fact that they remind, Fox and all of us of the Afita-like terrorist group that's currently out there, that's not going to happen. So hopefully WWE realizes what they're doing, hits the reset button as fast as they can, because if they don't hit that hard reset button and that hard reboot button and try to salvage this to where it can be taken seriously, and they reveal maybe Triple H or Shane McMahon or Owens or Lee being the mastermind behind it, or maybe even freaking Adam Pearce, because we're seeing him a lot lately. There has to be an explanation for that now. Maybe he ties into it. Unless they do something that kind of salvages it by revealing who the leader is and the reason why they brought this group together, I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say, but I feel sorry for WWE if they don't find a way to resalvage this. Okay, I find pity in WWE right now, because if they don't find a way to fix this, and maybe give us a salvaging twist of it's Triple H that's behind it, it's Samoa Joe that's behind it, it's Adam Pearce that's behind it, it's Keith Lee, it's Kevin Owens, it's Shane McMahon. If you don't find a way to salvage it somehow, some way, and in the end it turns out to be nothing more than, like I said, a jab at the fans. Because if again, my honest opinion, when WrestleVotes comes out and says, oh yeah, you know, everybody backstage was laughing their butts off at how ridiculous Retribution has become. And because to me, what that says is this is nothing more than this possibly is nothing more than a faction created to take a jab at the fans. So unless WWE finds a way to salvage this, fix it, and kind of prove that that's not what this is about, or that's not who they are, or that's not what they're about, and maybe give us that twist reveal of who's really behind it, again, I feel petty for them. I feel sorry for them, because they're going to awaken a sleeping giant that they will not be able to put down unless they press the nuclear bomb button. And that's the only way they're going to be able to take this giant down. Because, again, if it turns out that that's what Retribution is, and hopefully I'm wrong, then all I could say is, you think fans were angry about what they did to Daniel Bryan, CM Punk and all that? That's nothing compared to how they'll feel when they find out that Retribution possibly could be nothing more than a jab at them. Was created to take a jab at them. So that's all I can really say, guys. Let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. Watch some of the reaction videos, reviews of Raw last night. You'll see exactly from just Alex to Greg Morgan to JD from NY206. Watch the reviews and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to people being frustrated about WWE and how they feel about WWE jumping the shark. So until then, guys, God bless, take care. Again, check out the reviews of the others that I just pointed out, and again, you'll see exactly how frustrated they are when it comes to WWE jumping the shark, like I mentioned, when it comes to this Retribution deal. So till next time, guys, God bless, take care. I'm gonna go charge my camera right now, and I am out. Peace, God bless. But let me know what your thoughts